This is Grace. Yeah, maybe one more day of heat for this summer, and then I'll be able to come out here more often instead of sitting in my SUV with the air conditioner on doing videos. But yeah, today it's already kind of warm. I think it's going to be in the 90s. But after this, it's supposed to dip down into the highs would be in the 80s and the 70s, so that'll be great. But anyway, there's something I want to talk about. With all the noise right now, maybe I need to rethink that. I want to talk about this, with children. Children have gone back to school. Many of them have already started back to school, actually going into the schools. However, there's a flew on my hand, but however it is that they are back in school, not doing, some of it they're doing from home, but some of it they're doing in classrooms or whatever is what they decided. But I want to talk more about that. Okay, it's later in the day, but I did want to talk about this with kids in school. Now, you can define the reason or state the reasons, plural, why kids go to school in the first place. And we do know that a lot of kids are homeschooled, and but most, I would think, attend something like private or public education schools, and there are many purposes, like I said, for them to learn. But some of them would sum it up as, some of it as it's for their future. Okay, plain and simple, for their future. And they need to learn, they need the skills, they need to learn, and discover, and of course somebody's going to call me right now. Anyway, they're learning for their future. It's for their future. And some of it is socialization, how to socialize with other people, learn their lessons and so forth, and discover themselves in the world. Okay, now let's focus a minute on this about socializing. A lot of people are, my degrees are in psychology and sociology. I taught at college and university, but I am not a voice of authority on children, on raising children and education. I did work on what was then called a MAT, an MAT, Master of Arts in Teaching, not education but teaching. But my master's degree is in sociology. No reason that I didn't finish it. I just got burnt out. No other reason. I got burnt out. I worked on a lot. I worked on 3 masters and a PhD. But anyway, I was a career student. Some call them professional students. But so this is my opinion as a sociologist. Is yes, they need to socialize, but this is building for their future. And as we know, there's now more awareness about coronaviruses. This isn't our first one. It's not our first pandemic. And the coronavirus is not the flu, an influenza. It's a coronavirus. Okay, now that's not my area of expertise. So look it up yourself, and don't go looking for confirmation bias. Look for, no conspiracy theorists, but experts on the topic, scientists, actual scientists, in plural, not just one. Okay. I'm not here to give anybody advice anyway, but anyway, part of their future, now that they're we are more aware of this. Boy, try saying that. Was it just me? But this is not going to be the only one ever. And the things that have changed, luckily it could have changed this way. Luckily, kids could learn remotely, and people could work remotely from home. Think about what it would have been if nobody would have been able to. What if there was not an internet, the internet? What if there weren't computers where people could do all this? When it's not been that long ago, when I was a child, we didn't have computers at school that we learned from. If we were out of school, we were out of school. Okay, yeah. So what I'm going to get to is that this is part of their future. they're more aware of it. I mean, we've had terrible flus. I mean, and this isn't a flu, like I said, I'll repeat that. But we've had terrible, horrible flus and flu seasons. It was just 2017, 2018 was a really horrible one. And we've had other coronaviruses. I'm not sure what is H1N1, or was it? Whatever it was, it was about 10, 12 years ago or so, whenever it was. I remember just going to work like nothing. And we didn't have these things about, people teaching us these things about, social distancing. How far should you be apart from one another? It wasn't part of our, at least mine, at least people I knew, of what we thought about to keep safe. We've heard it. I think we've heard, keep your distance from other people, wash your hands, so many, really. But as far as like wearing masks, I don't remember that. I remember when I was back in early 1980s. Well, no, wait, it was 1983 or 1984. I remember a man was wearing one of these masks, and I was working in a pharmacy, and he was wearing a mask, and he was buying some medication or paying for it or whatever. I was a cashier. I was young then. And he told me flat out, I didn't ask him, he was wearing a mask, okay. I didn't ask him. He told me, he said he was wearing it because of, and he said something that, I think it was something, like his immune system wasn't, he just got out of the hospital and he had something, I don't remember what it was a long time ago. And that he had to wear that because of, he couldn't pick up anything from other people, and the flu or anything from other people. And that should have stuck in my mind more than just the memory, as you just heard, to where, whenever flu season or something, wear a mask, wear a face covering mask. But it's just not been part of our culture, at least not mine, not here. I mean, we can go back into the Wild Wild West kind of days, and trail dust and stuff they wore, maybe, and robbers and stuff. But yeah, you know what I mean. It's just not part of our thing. And people still protesting so much of not wanting to wear them. And here it is, September 8th, 2020. It's 5:55 p.m. I was reading it. But 87 degrees in Texas. But anyway, that is going to be part of their future. It is going to be part of their culture. That when there's flu season, I hope it becomes part of a culture for flu season even. That they learn, wear masks, wash their hands, and they grow up knowing these. And knowing these are ways to help yourself and others stay healthy and not get so sick. I mean, because these flus, man, they can knock you on your butt, really. But they do me a month. And doctors have told me over the years, it's just allergies. No, that's not allergies. It is not allergies. And they didn't even test back then. So many years, no doctor would test. And I'd be knocked out for a month. And drink practically, well, I'm not going to say that because somebody might do that and it might hurt them. Drink water, with a certain amount. I had pneumonia. I was in the hospital for pneumonia at least 2 or 3 times. The bronchitis turned into pneumonia, and on, And but when that one happened in 2017 and 2018, flu season, and it was so bad, I actually called. I'm pretty sure it was the CDC and national. And they told me who to call local, and I had a long conversation with an older man. He was, I'd say, probably around retirement age or maybe older. And he explained a lot of it to me. He was really nice, sweet, and really professional, and it was great to hear all these things. So since then, but other reasons too, I've been much more careful. I haven't been gotten the flu or anything. I have allergies, as I say enough. I'm already losing my voice again. But yeah, I could add in here, but hopefully somebody would ask their doctor. Not hopefully, you should. Period. is that around that same time is when my new doctor, I only saw him that one time, but they ran a bunch of tests, including vitamin D, and he said I was severely needed vitamin D. The amount that he suggested I take, oh my goodness. And there was two, the supplements and an actual prescription. I need to have them test that again. Yeah. And see where my levels are now. But since I haven't had the flu, that's not evidence. That's not proof. Adam was the same way with his doctor, different doctor than mine. Did the same thing around the same time, and neither one of us have had any of these colds, flus, nothing. But that's not proof. It's just our experience. It might not be it for everybody. Anyway, but anyway, these flus and these lessons we're learning now, that they're growing up with this. Okay, and they're also growing up, and I think there's more to this I want to talk about. But they're also growing up with a good thing. Many of them, not all of them, have actually had one-on-one time with their parents. Now, we all know they're dysfunctional families, and it could be very bad for a lot of kids, and not 100% of them. And, I do videos about dysfunctional families. I grew up in one. I grew up in a dysfunctional environment all around. Okay, so I know, believe me, I do know. Personal experience and education about dysfunctional families. Now, what about the ones that aren't raised in dysfunctional families? They're having something that many of us haven't had. Boy, my alarms and stuff and phones going off. Oh man, yeah. But that's good. There are they do have that with their parent or parents, but what they're seeing now, what they're growing up, this is kind of going, in some ways, will become part of their norm. Okay, their norm. Think about this. This is how, right now, they're seeing this, and they're learning how to be with other people, not to be, how many of us know, I never had this, but how many of us know that when kids, a lot of time when kids are young, no matter where you live, they can get lice because they're so, I think it's a good thing, but, not the lice, but, that they feel comfortable hugging one another and stuff like that. I think that's good. Not 100%, but you see, they can have problems like the lice, getting lice and such. But they are learning to respect one another's space. That's very important. Now, have they ever had to learn how to respect other people's, other people their age and older, and younger, their space? Well, when stand in line, you go into the cafeteria and so forth. That becomes part of their norm, is not to just crunch on top of somebody, and be quiet in the hallways, respect other people, or in their classrooms, and they need to concentrate and stuff. And now they're going to, they're learning to keep more physical space, especially during sometimes, like flu seasons and whatever outbreak, okay, coronavirus outbreak, whatever. So this is part of the norm. But what about also with everything changing so quickly in my lifetime? I know in my lifetime it has, to this of computers and people working from home. Do you think a lot of these people who have experienced, I said this from the beginning, before, it was either people that work from home, do you think they're going to want to go back to work when now they find out they can work from home? And what's the wave of the future? Really think about it. I've said this in the past before, that people need, of any age, there is that of actually being in presence with somebody else, and in we can actually touch them, and not just virtually, but is that going to be their future? Is it going to be so much in their future, really, with people working from home? A lot of people working from home, a lot of people can commute, maybe even studying from home after this. At places, get a little clue. Oh, wait a minute, maybe it's not such a good idea. Maybe it's not such a good idea that, classrooms are packed, colleges, universities, grade school, whatever kind of school, and, dorms. I stayed in a dorm before. I was married when I was 18, but I stayed in a dorm when I transferred. I had moved around a lot, went to lots of different colleges and universities, and I stayed in a dorm when I went to check one out. 17th floor. Scary. The elevator, just a little side note, the elevator kept getting stuck, and we were on the 17th floor, and we had to walk up or down. Yeah. I've done that. But just, you're so close to somebody else. And when you really think about health-wise, how healthy is it? I don't know. But like I said, some of this is going to be part of their future, not ours. And a little bit of ours, however long we live. But we really need to think more about their future, not what we want them to do now, but what they need to be prepared for in the future. And that's always been the case. But things, like I'm saying, things have changed tremendously since I was a child. I learned how to type when I was 13 or before on those old-fashioned typewriters. I had one myself. My dad bought me one. It was a present. It was a little bitty one, a little box. Manual typewriters. They weren't electric. And in school, we had to take typing. I learned shorthand. Oh my goodness! Quit going off alarm. But I learned shorthand. Not that I could do it now. And some people say, "What? Shorthand?" Yeah. We didn't have computers, like I said. I got my first computer was when I was 18. I'm talking personal computers, some people wouldn't even know there was a difference. There were computers, of course, before then, but it wasn't just like everybody had one like they do now. And think about how fast, I'm 57, think about how fast this has changed. I mean, Zoom, that's how I see it. I was one of the people before the World Wide Web. I was one of the people connecting my computer to somebody else's from to their house. Man, when the first time somebody got a 1G, it was a huge deal. My first computer had a 300 baud modem. Okay, some people would say, "What's baud and what's a modem? Is that bad or good?" Yeah, I worked at a lot of places where it wasn't my job, but I was a computer guru. Because of that. And they were like, when I was 45 at one job, somebody said, "How do you know all these things?" Like I'm so old that, yeah, and some people still think that way. But anyway, this is their future. Their future is not going to be the same as ours. It's not going to be where people get up in the morning and they go through rush hour traffic. And think about how good it's been since not so many people were going through rush hour traffic, how the air feels more clear. You go out and you're not, smelling somebody's tailpipe from their car or truck or SUV or whatever. There's not so much smog. This, at least from what I understand. Rush hour traffic, horrible. I remember one job, it would take me an hour, almost 2 hours to get there. It wasn't that far. It was like less than 30 miles away. Okay, somewhere around there. And some of them were like 15 miles. You're not going to have, anyway, stay on track, Grace. Like I ever do. But really, this is our future. This is what we're doing now. And I believe, that school systems know this, understand this. But because things have changed so much, have they changed along with it? Okay? Have they really changed along with it? For the kids growing up now, the kids in pre-K to even 12, are they prepared? Were they even prepared for this? We, had these before, we weren't really paying that much attention, enough attention to what this could happen. A pandemic can happen. And even if not a pandemic, bad enough that people need to be prepared to know what to do in that kind of situation, like a really bad flu season. Okay. Or whatever. So there's more to that. There's even more to that. How will they socialize in a different ways than we do? That's what I'm talking about, is, part of it. Maybe they won't have the opportunity to have so much one-on-one, one-to-one, or one classroom. All children are in that classroom. Maybe they can't. Maybe they won't be able to. Maybe they're, when they go to work, people will be more distanced now. Think of how many months the flu season is, really. And I remember when I talked to that guy, like I said, the local whatever, I don't think it's like a local CDC, or it was local something. That he said it's year round. It's just that there's a season. Okay, where you have more cases. And find out from your own. But, there's that. And then, here we just had this Hurricane Laura, not here, but Hurricane Lauren, what was the other one? The other one kind of like fizzled out in comparison, but people I knew people that were hit by Hurricane Laura, and they're still, after all this time, some of them don't have water, okay, they don't have their lights on, I grew up where there were hurricanes and tornadoes, hurricanes where people were out canoeing in front of my house. Oh, these alarms. But, yeah, there are a lot of different things that are going to be different, and I know a lot of people don't believe in global warming. Really now? Seriously? That backwards? But, yeah, these are things that they're going to need, to have more information about than we did. It was there. We were told these things, We were told, during, like I said earlier, during flu seasons and such. But it wasn't really such a bad thing happened that we had to get it. We had to finally say, and those who were stubborn enough not to believe, think it's a hype and hoax from the Democrats. Seriously, Democrats have that much control of the whole world? Anyway, yeah, this is part of their youth. This is going to be part of their culture, part of their knowledge, part of their awareness, part of the way they just see the world. And some people are still not even catching up, adults. And okay, I'm going to wrap this up because that alarm keeps going off. I need to go take care of it. But anyway, you see what I'm saying? I'm going to wrap this up. Talk to you on another video. Bye.